You did not grow up in chaos. You grew up in transition. As a millennial in the United States, your childhood belonged to an analog world that now feels almost fictional. You remember landline phones with cords stretched across kitchen counters. You remember waiting for your favorite show to air at a specific time because missing it meant waiting a week. You remember riding bikes without GPS, without tracking apps, without anyone knowing exactly where you were, as long as you came home when the streetlights flickered on. Life moved slower. Embarrassment faded. Mistakes dissolved with time. Nothing followed you forever. Then adulthood arrived quietly, and the world had shifted beneath your feet. Suddenly, everything was digital. Your job applications, your friendships, your dating life, your identity. You did not simply log on to the internet. You relocated your entire existence into it. Profiles replaced first impressions. Metrics replaced meaning. Visibility became currency. If something was not posted, it almost felt like it had not happened. This is why millennials are so often misunderstood. You are not fragile. You are not confused. You are the bridge generation. The only generation required to fully adapt from one cultural operating system into another, while already carrying adult responsibility. Psychologically, that produced a rare but expensive combination. Extreme adaptability paired with chronic internal instability. You learned to update yourself constantly. New platforms, new expectations, new language, new skills. You learned how to pivot, how to rebrand, how to present yourself strategically. But adaptability has a shadow. When you are always adjusting, you rarely feel anchored. When you are always becoming, you never feel finished. There is a quiet exhaustion that comes from not knowing which version of you is finally enough. You remember a world before constant comparison. Now you live inside one. You remember privacy. Now performance is assumed. You remember stability. You matured into uncertainty. You are not broken. You are standing between two eras, carrying the weight of both. You were not raised on fear. You were raised on hope. The message was simple and repeated. Work hard, do the right things, get an education, and life will reward you. Effort in, stability out. You believe that promise. More than that, you built your identity around it. Then the ground shifted. September 11th shattered the illusion of safety just as you were forming your worldview. The 2008 financial crisis arrived as you were building careers. Entry-level jobs required years of experience. Layoffs became normal. Student loan debt ballooned. Homeownership drifted further away. The rules you followed stopped producing the outcomes you were promised, but no one announced that the contract had changed. This is where the psychological wound formed. When a system collapses but insists it is still fair, the damage turns inward. You do not think the structure is broken, you think you are. This is economic gaslighting. Being asked to question your own reality while carrying the consequences of a collapse you did not cause. If this moved you, comment 9 right now. If it didn't, comment 0. Your voice matters. Take 1 second and share it. You worked harder for less security. You delayed milestones not because you were irresponsible, but because the math no longer made sense, yet the narrative blamed you anyway. Lazy, entitled, unrealistic. So you internalized the contradiction. You did everything right and still learned to feel ashamed. That unresolved tension became background noise. Not panic, not drama, just a steady hum of anxiety that never fully shuts off. Because when stability disappears, the nervous system adapts by staying alert. You wake up bracing for the email, the bill, the unexpected expense. You carry the quiet fear that one mistake could unravel everything. Job security feels conditional. Health insurance feels fragile. Housing feels speculative. The future does not feel like a destination you are moving toward. It feels like something you must defend yourself against. Your body learned to live in low-grade fight or flight. Cortisol never fully drops. Rest feels unfamiliar, sometimes even unsafe. tight shoulders, clenched jaw, shallow breathing, sleep that never feels deep enough. These are not personal weaknesses. They are the physiological imprint of long-term uncertainty. What makes it heavier is that it is invisible. You function, you show up, you get things done. From the outside, you look fine. Inside, you are constantly calculating how much margin you have. How close am I to the edge? This is not a mindset problem. This is what happens when survival becomes permanent. You are also the first generation to enter adulthood with an audience. You did not just live your 20s. You documented them. Timelines tracked your progress. Likes, followers, and titles quietly became measures of worth. Even when you were not competing, comparison found you. Before social media, your reference group was local. Now it is global and endless. Old classmates announcing promotions, engagement photos, startup launches, baby announcements, highlight reels presented as ordinary life. And the comparison is not only about success. It is about timing. Who is ahead? Who figured it out first? Who looks calm while you feel behind? You compare your private confusion to everyone else's public certainty. Imposter syndrome thrives in that environment. No matter what you achieve, it feels temporary. At the same time, fear of missing out becomes existential. Not fear of missing a party. Fear that life itself is unfolding somewhere else without you. So you curate stability. You perform resilience. You post proof that you are okay. When you are always being seen, it becomes harder to know who you are when no one is watching. Reflection gets replaced by reaction. Authenticity by optimization. This is not vanity. It is adaptation. You entered adulthood as traditional career paths eroded. Long-term loyalty between employer and employee dissolved. Side hustles became necessary. Algorithmic visibility determined opportunity. You were not just expected to work. You were expected to market yourself. You became the product. Your skills were not enough. You had to package them, brand them, promote them. Self-presentation became survival. Invisibility meant vulnerability. From the outside, this can look like narcissism, but much of it is insecurity trying to stay afloat. Yes, there are higher rates of narcissistic traits among younger generations, but context matters. When a system constantly demands visibility and validation, some people adapt defensively. Narcissism in this era is often brittle, anxious, dependent on external affirmation. You can be deeply self-aware and still self-focused, both victim and carrier of the same pressure. And over time, identity erodes. When your self becomes a brand, you slowly lose access to who you are when nothing is being optimized. You are not exhausted because you are weak. You are exhausted because you were never taught how to feel safe at rest. Productivity was moralized. Doing more meant being more. Every hobby needed monetization. Even joy was quietly measured by output. But the system rarely reciprocated. You could work late, exceed expectations, sacrifice weekends, and still be replaced by email. So your nervous system adapted. Slowing down felt risky. Rest felt dangerous. Burnout for millennials is not only physical fatigue. It is existential depletion. It looks like waking up tired even after sleep. Losing interest in things you once loved. Scrolling instead of resting because stillness feels uncomfortable. You do not relax. You hover. Even healing became performance. Meditation apps. Morning routines. Wellness checklists. Rest became something to optimize instead of something to receive. Underneath is a body that never fully powers down. When tension becomes baseline, peace can feel foreign. You are not burned out because you did not care enough. You are burned out because you cared for too long in a system that did not promise to care back. To understand your generation, you also have to look at childhood. Divorce rates rose. Dual income households became necessary. Many parents were overwhelmed or emotionally stretched thin. Love existed, but sometimes inconsistently. Some of you grew up under pressure. Every grade mattered. Every failure felt catastrophic. Others grew up with absence. Emotional unavailability disguised as independence. Attachment patterns formed quietly. Anxious attachment. Always scanning for abandonment. Avoidant attachment. Downplaying needs. Many carry both. You learned that approval had to be earned. That being easy was safer than being needy. As adults, this shows up in overgiving, people-pleasing, difficulty setting boundaries, or choosing partners who feel familiar but emotionally distant. Yet there is something quietly revolutionary about your generation. You are the first to ask, is this normal? You name trauma. You question inherited patterns. You normalize therapy. That awareness does not erase wounds, but it creates possibility. Still, awareness has a shadow. Knowing the language of trauma does not automatically heal it. Insight can become self-surveillance. Labeling every reaction. Tracing every trigger. Turning healing into another performance. Understanding without integration can leave you stuck. But you broke the silence. You challenged the idea that suffering must be endured quietly. You are not behind. You are adapting in a world that keeps changing. If this resonated with you, like this video, share it with someone who understands, and subscribe for more honest conversations about growth, identity, and navigating adulthood in uncertain times.